All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a look at the icy world of Mickey 17,
Oh, yeah.
the brand new science fiction film from Bong Joon Ho,
Hmm?
the brilliant mind who brought us Parasite.
Absolutely.
You sent over a really interesting review from the tech,
I did.
and our mission today is to unearth those core ideas and themes and see how this new work is being received.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So, just to lay it out there,
Hmm?
we're mainly working with this review from the tech from March 20th, 2025.
Right.
It does a great job of not only summarizing the plot, but also giving us some critical analysis and situating it within, Bong Joon Ho's wider filmography.
Absolutely.
It even delves a bit into the source material, Edward Ashton's novel, Mickey 7.
It's really interesting to see how those two connect.
So one thing that immediately grabbed my attention reading through this review was this whole concept of Expendables, basically humans who can be cloned
Right.
and sent on these super dangerous missions,
Yeah.
almost like they're disposable,
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
with the understanding that they'll just be reprinted if they die.
Just reprinted like a document.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Can you imagine facing death repeatedly
Mm.
and just continuing on like that?
It really makes you question what it means to be alive, doesn't it?
That's a huge part of what makes this premise so fascinating.
It is really.
And the review does a great job of setting up Bong Joon Ho's signature style.
Absolutely.
What struck you about how the tech describes those familiar elements?
Well, they really highlight his way of weaving in this sharp class commentary.
Yeah.
You know, that dark humor that permeates his films.
It's so distinctive.
It is. And those often unsettling but very original storylines,
Mm-hmm.
like in Memories of a Murder.
Right.
And of course, Parasite, which resonated with so many people.
Absolutely.
But the review makes this interesting point that these themes don't always hit the mark in the same way
Yeah.
in his English language co-productions like Snowpiercer and Oja. So it's like they're suggesting that maybe Bong's social critiques
Mm-hmm.
work best when they're focused through a Korean cultural lens.
Yeah, it's an interesting take.
Or, maybe it's the collaborative energy
Mm-hmm.
with a Korean cast and crew
Yeah.
that allows his vision to truly flourish.
It makes you think about the impact of cultural context on filmmaking, doesn't it?
It does.
And what's really fascinating is that they call Mickey 17 his strongest English language film yet,
Right.
but still place it a step below his Korean masterpieces, which gives us this important piece of critical context right from the start.
It sets the stage for our understanding of the film.
So let's get into the specifics of Mickey 17.
Okay.
The review paints this picture of Earth in 2054
Mm.
as this pretty bleak and desolate place becoming increasingly uninhabitable.
Yeah.
And we have our main character, Mickey, played by Robert Pattinson.
Interesting casting.
He's trying to find a way out of this whole mess.
Yeah, he's facing some serious financial troubles. And he sees these interstellar voyages
Right.
as his chance to escape.
Like a new beginning off-world.
Exactly.
And to get off Earth faster, he basically volunteers for this expendable role.
Without fully grasping the implications, it seems.
The review makes it sound like he doesn't totally understand what he's getting into.
Yeah, it's almost like he's so desperate to leave Earth that he's willing to overlook the risks.
So, for our listeners who maybe aren't totally familiar with the concept, can you break down what it means to be an expendable?
Sure. So these are people who are clonable,
Okay.
and they're sent on these incredibly dangerous missions,
Yeah.
essentially with the expectation that they might die.
They're expendable.
Exactly.
What the name suggests.
But the thing is, they can be reprinted.
Reprinting.
Yes. So it's not just a copy. It's a new body that's grown.
Wow.
And the previous Mickey's memories are uploaded into this new body.
That's incredible.
But it's hinted that the transfer might not be perfect.
Oh, so there could be some glitches.
Touchily.
And this new Mickey is then ready for the next risky task.
Precisely.
It's a pretty stark concept.
It is.
But the review makes it seem like Mickey just accepts it.
Yeah, he seems strangely nonchalant about it all.
Like he's almost numb to the danger.
Mm-hmm. He faces deadly radiation, this mysterious illness that causes him to vomit blood.
Oh, wow.
He's even incinerated in spaceship fuel,
That's intense.
and he takes it all in stride.
What did you make of that detail about Pattinson's performance? The reviewer mentions this quirked-up white boy performance and an inconsistent accent.
Yeah, that definitely raises some questions about his interpretation of the character.
Makes you wonder what kind of choices he made in portraying Mickey.
It does. It seems like a potentially unconventional take on this kind of role.
But along with this maybe unusual performance,
Yeah.
the review emphasizes this important emotional connection for Mickey.
His relationship with Naisha,
Right, played by Naomi Ackie.
another great actress.
They apparently fall in love during this 4-year journey to Niflheim.
Right, this icy planet that they're trying to colonize.
It seems like their relationship is a bright spot in this otherwise pretty bleak setting.
It's interesting, though, right?
Yeah.
Because she loves every version of them equally,
She loves every Mickey reprint.
which speaks to a deeper question about the nature of love and identity.
For sure.
If someone can be reprinted, does that change how we love them?
Absolutely.
It's a complex issue.
So alongside this central romance, we have these other important characters orbiting around them.
Right, like Kenneth Marshall, played by Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, wow.
He's a former Earth politician
Okay.
who's now backing this whole spaceship venture. And then there's his wife, Yilfa, played by Toni Collette.
Another fantastic actress.
And the reviewer describes them as
Yeah.
not the most likable people.
Interesting.
They come across as cruel and driven by self-interest.
Oh, wow. So right away we can kind of guess that they're going to be trouble.
They're definitely going to stir things up.
So they arrive on Niflheim.
Yeah.
And Mickey 17 almost dies.
But then we get this crucial new element introduced. The creepers. What are those?
They're the native life forms that inhabit this planet.
Oh, wow.
And they're described as seemingly intelligent, which is fascinating.
It is.
Because instead of being hostile towards Mickey 17, they actually rescue him.
They save him.
Yes, it's a surprising turn of events.
So what's the reaction from Kenneth and Yilfa?
Well, instead of trying to understand these creatures or engage in diplomacy, they immediately declare war on the creepers.
They go straight to war.
The reviewer puts it cynically. They asked, what's colonization without killing the native species?
Oh, wow.
Especially when they look so gross and speak unintelligibly.
So it's like they're just looking for an excuse.
It really highlights that human tendency to fear what we don't understand and resort to violence instead of communication.
And that brings us to the central conflict of the film.
Yeah.
Mickey 17 returns to the ship.
And discovers that they've already printed Mickey 18.
Assuming he was dead.
So now there are 2 Mickeys.
Exactly, 2 identical clones.
And that's a big no-no.
A huge violation in their society.
What are the consequences of having these multiples?
Well, the review emphasizes both the ethical and practical dilemmas.
Okay.
On an ethical level, it raises questions about identity and personhood.
Right. If you can just reprint someone, what does it mean to be an individual?
Exactly. And practically, it's a logistical nightmare. 2 people with the same memories and experiences trying to coexist.
And it's illegal.
Very much so. They could be executed for this.
So Mickey 17 and 18 have to find a way to exist without being discovered, while also trying to make peace between the humans and the creepers.
It's a lot to juggle.
It creates this really compelling internal and external conflict for them.
It does.
Okay, so beyond the plot summary, what are some of the bigger themes at play here?
Yeah. What are the underlying ideas?
The review mentions this idea of crappy immortality.
Right. It's a term coined in the novel Mickey 7.
Can you unpack that a bit?
Sure. So it seems to explore the downsides of being able to come back from the dead.
Okay.
Like, imagine immortality.
Yeah.
But without the glory or the romance.
Not the kind of immortality we usually see in stories.
Exactly. It's more about enduring this endless, often unpleasant service.
So it's not necessarily a good thing?
Not in this context.
And the constant cycle of death and rebirth could really erode your sense of self.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if there's even a point to continuing on if you're just going to keep getting reprinted.
The review also makes this interesting comparison, saying that the film imagines how this reprinting technology, much like artificial intelligence today, could drastically change culture by 2054.
It's like they're drawing a parallel between the impact of AI now and the potential impact of reprinting in the future.
It's a really thought-provoking connection.
It is.
It makes you think about how technology shapes our understanding of life and death.
Absolutely, and how it ripples through every aspect of society.
The review also mentions elements of satire.
Right, especially in how Marshall and Yilfa are portrayed.
It even points out comparisons to contemporary political figures.
Which Bong has denied.
But even with his denial, the reviewer sees these parallels.
Yeah, they see it in their arrogance, their disregard for those who are less powerful.
And their inability to empathize with those they consider different. So even though the film is set in the future, it's still very much commenting on the present.
It's holding up a mirror to our current society.
And it seems like the film uses these supporting characters to further that social commentary.
Those often hapless and absurd figures.
Injecting humor into this otherwise serious setting.
Yeah, it's that dark Bong Joon Ho humor that we've come to expect.
And at the heart of it all is this exploration of personhood.
What makes us who we are.
Exactly.
The review highlights this fascinating point that even though Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 have identical brains and genetics, they develop distinct personalities.
They become different people based on their individual experiences. So it's not just nature.
No, it's nurture too.
Our environment, our experiences shape who we are.
That's the message the film seems to be conveying.
And it's made even more complex by this reprinting technology.
Yeah, because if you can just create a new you with all your memory, does that mean you're still the same person?
It's a really interesting question to consider.
It is.
The review also points out the importance of communication.
Right, especially in the context of the creepers.
It draws a comparison to Arrival.
Yeah, both films emphasize the need for genuine understanding and effective communication.
Especially when dealing with those who are different from us.
It's about overcoming prejudice and finding common ground.
And the film also seems to be warning us about the dangers of leaders who create enemies.
Yeah, those who promote division and fear.
They often have ulterior motive.
Right, they might be trying to distract from their own failings or consolidate their power.
So for our listeners who are familiar with Bong Joon Ho's previous work, the review points out some recurring elements.
Oh yeah, like those distinctive CGI creatures.
This film seems to offer a lot to ponder.
It does.
It's a lens through which we can examine the potential consequences of technology.
Both on society as a whole and on the individual level.
And it also serves as a case study in how a director with such a distinct voice approaches similar themes across different cultures and languages.
It's fascinating to see how his style evolves and adapts.
And that brings us to a final thought for our listeners to consider.
Okay.
Given the film's exploration of reprinting and the emergence of distinct personalities in these clones, what truly defines an individual?
What makes it unique?
Is it just our biology and our genetics? Are our experiences and the circumstances we face the ultimate sculptors of who we become?
That's the question the film seems to be posing.
And maybe Mickey 17, in its depiction of a world where death might not be final, encourages us to reevaluate our understanding of self.
To question what it means to be human in this new age of technology.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But that's what makes this film and this conversation so engaging.
Absolutely.
Thanks for diving in with us today.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep exploring.
And keep questioning.
We'll be back soon with more fascinating topics to uncover.
See you then.